Have you ever been drunk or high and came up with this truly amazing idea but then became sober and realized it wasn't as amazing as you thought it was? If so, what was the idea?
Turn signals on grocery carts.
I made a soup sandwich while really high before. The soup obviously just destroyed the bread's integrity, and just fell out the sandwich. That was the first time in my life I realized just how dumb I am.
King Kong but with a giraffe.
Okay, hear me out. Go to your local bar and get plastered. Then go to Lens Crafters and get your eyes checked. They will fix your double and blurry vision and give you a pair of glasses. So when you get drunk again you can put on your, wait for it, drunk goggles.
I thought it would be practical if you would have a tag with your address written on it attached to your keys, so if you ever lost them they can be sent back. Seemed brilliant to me. Thieves might enjoy this idea as well. Edit. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers.
Once, while thoroughly drunk, I ordered a pizza and it arrived overcooked. Crust was like dried asphalt and the toppings blackened and singed. So I pitched the idea to my other drunk buddies that pizza places should let their customers control the pizza ovens through the internet, so we can decide when it's done. Which then lead to an entire design your own pizza machine website combo, where one could control exactly how much of each ingredient to add using robotic arms and you could watch it cook live through an oven cam. Seemed brilliant at the time.
When a football match goes into extra time, they should add a second ball. If it gets to half-time without anyone scoring they add a third ball. I'm actually not sure this idea is a bad one.
I was on acid and had a revelation that I had to make the next Google. I have no idea what it means to be the next Google, but regardless it felt like the best idea in the world. The feeling of checking my notes app the next day for the grand idea I had and seeing, be the next Google, was hilarious.
Beer rocks. When drinking at an outdoor place, using plastic cups, you put fancy rocks in your beer so the cups don't blow over. Genius.
I was thinking that kids these days need more time on the road to be better drivers. So maybe Uber should partner with driving education groups and subsidize them or pay the kids in college bonds or whatever. Yeah, maybe hiring a bunch of terrible drivers for your taxi services isn't such a great idea.
Once while high my friends came up with an online call center for people who have anxiety while high to call. It was named TripAdvisor.
I thought of something that I thought was the funniest crap. A video or comic where one guy takes a pepper packet, opens it, and pours it into his eyes. When his friend starts freaking out, he goes, "Haha, tricked you, it's actually salt."
Sugar bags. Like tea bags but for sugar. Tea and 2 sugars? 1 tea bag, 2 sugar bags. As we were stoned as frick, my cousin holding up an emptied tea bag filled with sugar and me trying to carefully tie it back up with a piece of cotton, my cousin disappointingly says, "Sugar cubes."
One time when I was tripping I wrote down this whole page of numbers and swore it was the answer. The answer to what I don't know lol. I just kept saying, it's all about the digits.
I had this idea that the Taken films should each focus on a different set of skills. Like Liam Neeson could be an amazing chef in Taken 2, and perhaps a postman in Taken 3.
Yep, pre-melted cheese. I was so baked, my idea was pre-melted cheese, like a boil in the bag rice. But for cheese, like a block of cheddar cheese, in a sandwich bag and boiled till molten, and then it stayed molten. Like didn't solidify and I could just pour it on stuff. Like I was so high, I literally forgot all the aforementioned products existed and though I was going to be a freaking millionaire, then started to talk with my friends about where I should live, be it LA or New York, in a penthouse suite, and have a butler and maids and crap. Then I came to after passing out at some point, and I remember the entire conversation and think, holy freaking god, I'm a freaking moron.
Usually I make big plans that cost a lot of money and then promise sober people that we will do them. So they start to look forward to the plans, I sober up, and regret all of my decisions yet still have to follow through. Most recent was that I promised my sister that I'd bring my daughter to visit her in Florida. $2,000 later, I have a sunburn.
A food truck specializing in egg rolls the size of burritos.
While taking what I thought was acid and turned out to be a 25N bomb, I was beyond confident that I had not only finally understand the truest deepest secret of the universe, but that I had distilled the idea into an image that could be drawn out. I was certain that with that image I could remember everything about the true universal secrets when I came down. The next day I looked at the paper, and it was a line with a circle on each end, like a dumbbell. I have no idea what it means.
I have a running note on my phone with my ideas I have while intoxicated. I think my best one is, what if there was a Queer Eye spin-off called Third Eye, where hippies and conspiracy theorists try to awaken people who are already happy with their lives. Most of them are just dumb with such highlights as, future math will be cool, and, there's a lot of cute animal behavior.
One of my philosophy professors told a joke about a philosopher having a dream in which he met Socrates, but quickly saw the proper rebuttal to his views, which Socrates conceded. Then he met Aristotle, and Descartes, and Kant, and Nietzsche, and Mill, and with each of them presented his contrary position successfully. He knew he was dreaming, but he thought, I have to wake up enough to write this down. He managed to become conscious enough that he quickly scrawled the words down on some paper, then fell asleep again. The next morning he woke up, remembered what had happened, and excitedly grabbed the note. It read, "Yeah, that's what you say."
One time I woke up in the middle of the night with an idea. A revolutionary idea. Something I needed to write down as fast as possible so I wouldn't forget. So I wrote it down and went back to sleep. I woke up, looked at the piece of paper, and all it said was, Pennzoil Mini Wheats. I've never quite figured out what I was thinking.
My friend is a lawyer and when he was in law school did a summer internship to Ghana studying international law. We were like 2 blunts deep and he came up with the brilliant idea to make chairs in Ghana because everyone he saw there was just sitting on the ground. He was convinced we could have made a fortune selling chairs.
I ran upstairs and yelled at my husband, "Why don't they make mittens for feet?" And he said, "You mean socks?" And I said, "Oh yeah, socks."
Not me but Paul McCartney. The first time he got high he apparently discovered the meaning of life and immediately went to write it down. When he woke up the next morning he looked at the paper and it said, there are 7 levels.
As teenagers, my friend and I used to get really stoned and go sit in this particular diner for hours and drink coffee until we sobered up. One time 2 cops in uniform came in and sat down a few tables away and ordered some food. At first we were kind of paranoid, but they didn't seem to be paying us any attention. My friend was the type of guy who liked to do wacky crap just to be funny, especially on a dare. He was also a big proponent of marijuana legalization. He talked about it all the time. I told him I thought it would be hilarious to go up and ask the cops their thoughts on marijuana legalization. We were both still pretty baked and he thought it was a funny idea too, so on a whim he decided to do it. He took off his jacket and set it on the bench next to him and walked calmly over to their table and began talking with them. I couldn't hear what they were saying but the conversation appeared to be polite and lasted a minute or 2. He came back to the table with a big stoned grin on his face. "Aw man, those cops seem okay to me. They both said they think weed should be legal and it's a waste of their time to go after pot smokers." A little while later the cops finished their food and left. One of them even smiled and nodded to my friend on the way out. We watched them get into their patrol car and drive out of the parking lot. We stayed for about another half hour and then left to catch the bus home. We got to the bus stop and just as we both lit up a cigarette a cop car pulled up with the same 2 cops inside. They had been sitting in the parking lot next door with their lights off waiting for us to come out of the diner. We obviously weren't old enough to be smoking cigarettes, and a check of our IDs confirmed that. They searched both of us and found a 5-sack of weed and a pipe in my friend's jacket. We both got tickets for underage smoking. He got cited for the pipe and marijuana, was given a court date, and taken home to his parents in the back of a police car.
Running for my local school board. I had a lot of issues with the way the education works in our country and believed the best way to fix the system was by running an honest campaign and promising to fight for the change that would help kids learn better. Ultimately, I sobered up and realized at the time, unemployed, stoned 24-year-old with no kids was not the best candidate.
Whilst high I came up with the idea of making pens with white ink that would cover up any mistakes on white paper. Realized not only that it had been done already but that I had one in my backpack next to where I keep the pen I used to write down the idea.
When I did shrooms, I came up with the absolutely genius idea that NASA should employ young children and send them to space for missions because they have more natural curiosity and aren't jaded yet by adulthood and they might notice things that a more experienced astronaut would miss because they'll look from a different perspective. I was convinced I needed to email NASA right away and tell them about my brilliant epiphany.
I had this idea for a movie in a similar vein of Cabin in the Woods, where these people move into a haunted house, except the plot is from the antagonist's perspective, where the ghosts haunting the house treat it like a job, and have interviews in front of a camera, reality show style, venting about how tedious the little aspects of the job are. The premise was this ghost had reluctantly picked up and followed this family to this new house in order to keep haunting them, and inadvertently stepped on another ghost's jurisdiction, and they'd bicker about who haunts who, antics ensue. I realize now that this is more or less just what we do in the shadows. Damn you, Taika.
A thing you put on the laptop charger thing that gets hot which keeps your cheese dip hot.
X-Acto spoon. It is an X-Acto knife, only a spoon.
I got high one time and thought of a great business idea where everyone pays money to a pot and one person wins it all. Turns out the lottery already exists.
To have a fast food spot that sold frozen meals already cooked. Like you can order a heated up Hot Pocket, toaster strudel, chicken pot pie, etc.
My notes app is full of liquor, weed-soaked epiphanies and revelations from my younger years. My favorite reads, "Any boy that has the pineapple is a good boy."
Always felt free throws in basketball slowed the game down too much. Felt instead they should have dunks instead, where the player that was fouled has a running start from the three-point line and the one who committed the foul is at the basket defending against the dunk. I suppose this could turn into an endless loop of fouling.
Myself and 2 friends were extremely high and extremely hungry. We put all our money together and said that we would buy the most amount of food for the amount of money we had gathered. We had a total of £16. So our thought process was we could order 16 portions of chips, French fries for you Americans. We had to call the takeaway 3 times before they would believe that it wasn't a prank. We convinced them we were throwing a party. The takeaway finally delivered it and myself and my other friend were too high to go to the door, so we made friend 3 go by himself. All of the lights were off and there was no music playing, so the delivery driver delivered 16 portions of chips to one man alone from his perspective. Needless to say, 16 portions of chips is too much food between 3 people.